Brian, thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. Your work is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's start at the beginning of the process, because I can't really fathom taking a stump or giant piece of wood and turning it into something so beautiful. When did you actually start woodworking? I'm sure you've been doing this for a while, because clearly you are beyond proficient.
Well, thank you. Thank you. They tell me it was in 2005.
They tell you.
I had a daughter that was graduating right around then, and we kind of figured it was right around 2005. We had a graduation party, and I had one up and done at that time, so right around 2005. But I haven't actually sold anything till now. This is my first time. So I was an electrician, retired now, and I've been doing this as, just as a pastime, and I'm kind of self-taught. So I did a lot of trial and error in the beginning, and then I started going around watching people do this. There's a lot of carving competitions and carving shows. So I watched a lot of people, and in the beginning I was taking a saw and modifying it to run a small chain and try to figure out what the log will actually lend itself to. And then once I get done with the chainsaw, to get roughing out the rough areas, I'll use grinders and Dremel tools, Forum flex shaft tool, band files, die grinders and everything to try to get to that point. I am really slow with this. I'm not fast at it because I want to make sure all my stuff's in the right spot. But that's pretty much how I go at it. You take an idea, you hit it with a saw, then you hit it with the grinders, and then after that, I'll use a lot of dyes and stains. I like to stain my stuff, and in the beginning I was using marine spar varnish, and then later on I'd start using Balin dye stains and Journal Finishes, outdoor oils, and now I'm starting to play with a Rubio Monocoat. A lot of different finishes as you've gone along.
Okay, beyond being able to work with wood, you also, the artistry it takes to create these creatures, whether it be animals or your gnome or whatever the case may be. How can you visualize that and then make it come to life?
Well, a lot of it is looking at it from all directions and walking around it. You'll see me walk around it, walk around it, walk around it. When you do this, you're always looking at different things that you wouldn't actually pay attention to, like people's faces, the lines in their faces and everything, and just your hand. I've done a large fist, and people don't realize, you've got your hand and you think the fingers go one way, but when you really start looking at it in all the direction and everything, it's quite different. So you got a lot of studying, a lot of thinking, and a lot of wasted time. Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at behind you, there's a hammerhead shark, yes?
Yes.
If somebody asked me to draw or sculpt with clay or whatever, a hammerhead shark, I couldn't do it to save my soul. Are you referencing photos? How in the world can you take a solid piece of wood and turn it into that?
Well, thank you. Sometimes I will use photos. I did have a little hammerhead shark plastic toy that I was referencing this to. And then when I got done, the tail of the shark had lines going through it like the model did, and I realized that wasn't that way in a real shark, so I ended up grinding those all off. But a lot of it is just out of my head. Like if you look at the stand that holds the shark up, that's actually out of my head. Yeah. The blue tang fish on here are, that was from a photo. So it's a combination. Sometimes I like it when I'm just doing it on my own and kind of flowing with it, because then I don't have to make sure everything's super precise. I can just go with it. And there are times when you actually get in the flow of it and you can go along pretty fast. Then the next morning you come out there and you're like, where was I at? What was I thinking? Oh no, we're gonna erase that. And when you erase with a chainsaw, they get small quick. So it's kind of a different deal. You don't want to erase much.
Yeah, erase. I love that's how you reference it. Okay, let's stick with the shark just because it's right in front of me and it's so beautiful.
Thank you.
The fins on the shark, for example, are those connected to, is that all part of the same log, or can
No.
you add?
You can, and those are actually doweled. I have wooden dowels
Okay.
on those. So the fins in the back are part of the actual log. The top fin and the side fins and a couple of smaller fins I put on with dowels. Now I don't have any metal in the shark itself, and it's actually just setting on that base. So you can actually lift that shark up and spread those pieces apart. I didn't know how it was going to be, later on. So I kind of took a plaster cast of the bottom of it and made that front piece flow with the shark, so you could set it on there. So it's worked out pretty well.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
Okay, how do you feel yourself evolving and improving as you continue to make your pieces?
I've gotten better with my techniques, and if you look at my eyes, some of my eyes in the beginning, they were flat, they weren't rounded, and now my eyes have gotten a whole lot better. Stuff has gotten better. Once you do it a few times, you get better at it. But the first few things, I didn't even carry out of the woods. It looked like voodoo. I was like, oh no. And then I dragged the kids out. Hey, look at this. I'm like, no, Dad, we don't want to see that no more. So yeah, and I got to give kudos to my wife for putting up with this, because if you're a chainsaw carver, you're dirty, you're dusty, you're noisy, you drag a log home and you set it right in the driveway or something, So yeah, she's put up with me doing all this, so that's a wonderful thing. That's helped a lot.
Okay, you mentioned erasing.
Yes.
How do you know when to stop? How do you know when you...
Good question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go along and I should have stopped. There's a point, in the beginning, it's fine, you can do this, and you're not really worried about it. But when you get to the end and the piece is almost done, you're thinking, well, is this gonna make it look better, or is it gonna make it look worse? And sometimes if it does make it look worse, then you've gotta go along and rework the other stuff.
Yeah.
To try to keep the proportion all into it. You gotta try to think ahead on it a few ways, because if you don't, you'll crash into a wall. Which I've done several times.
Do you sketch out what you want to do first, or do you just go for it with a chainsaw?
Sometimes I do sketch it out, and I will draw on the log to try to get an idea where I'm going to cut for making my major cuts. Because if you make a great big major cut, then you can't save it at a certain point.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as sketching, I really didn't draw that well. I wasn't an artist. You asked about art. Shop class. I maybe took an art class in school, but no other art classes. I could draw the side profile of an airplane. That was about it.
I just can't believe that. I don't know how you create all of this without being really proficient in all kinds of mediums. Okay, tell me logistically, what are the easiest types of wood to work with? Are there some that you can't carve?
I've only carved oak, hickory, pine, just very little pine. I like to work with the hardwoods. They're heavy, but the grain really looks nice on them. I've got Kentucky, the big eagle in the back is Kentucky coffee. The honey locust, I worked with honey locust. Kentucky coffee and honey locust actually fluoresce under black light too, which is pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
And if you turn on the black light, then it is totally different. The honey locust, the heartwood fluoresces and the sapwood doesn't. And I have a small face there, character, that if you put it under black light, it's a totally different look. And then you turn it on the regular light and it's quite different. And that's how they actually can tell certain species of wood, whether it's, fluoresces under black light or not. So to answer your question, yeah, mainly I'm working with the hardwoods, heavy woods. If I was doing this for a living, it'd be pine because it's light and it's soft. I live in the woods here and I have a lot of hardwoods that come down, and that's usually where I've sourced most of my wood, just a tree that's come down. So yeah.
You mentioned that you're ready now to start selling
Yes,
your work.
Yes.
Is there a part of you that worries that when it becomes a business, you'll lose some of the joy of it?
Absolutely. I think that, yes, that is a ball and chain that you don't really want. I'm retired, so I really don't want to get into a whole deal. I think if I am carving a piece that is my own creation, then I can do it at my leisure and go the direction I want it to go in, and then maybe put it up for sale after it's done. If I'm doing a piece that somebody wants, then I've got to make it sure it's exactly like they want, try to pick their brain a bit to make sure I know what they want, and then try to deliver that in a timely fashion, which is tough for an old guy that moves slow. So I don't want to really be regimented to jumping out of bed and starting up that chainsaw or the grinder, or, you know, with all the stains and stuff like that. But I think that just selling my actual works that I play with will probably be a lot more fun.
Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. I think your work is beautiful. I look more and more and see different details, and it's just incredible. So I wish you great success. I'm sure that regardless of how slowly you want to move, you will be among the best.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks for sitting down with me.
No problem. My pleasure, actually.
For more information, find BF Carving on Facebook.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne,